What have you seen then? I mean, teaching just the number of juniors and high-level juniors that you have, can you put your finger on, like, maybe if we could break it into a couple buckets, but like from a mental or like a mindset standpoint, from a physical standpoint, what is it that separates that high-level junior from kind of their peers?
Oh, grit. You know what the acronym for grit
I
is?
don't. I can't wait to hear it.
Greatness requires inner toughness. Um, I want to stay on that one point if you don't mind, because when I'm a late bloomer, and I had a friend, Heather Daly Donofrio. She played at Yale University. I played at Rutgers University, and we were terrible in college. Okay, we were lucky to break 80. And Heather told me, Cheryl, I'm going to go become a golf professional. And I shook my head like, what are you talking about? You can't even break 80. No, I'm going to go win on the tour one day. Okay, whatever. So anyhow, down the road, and she's a Yale graduate too, right?
So she had options.
Yeah. And I said, I played with her a couple years later in the Massachusetts Open. We were roommates and I beat her. And she's like still pursuing this dream of being an LPGA Tour player. Now, thank God I wasn't her coach, because I certainly didn't believe in her ability, right? And she was only 5 foot tall. And a couple years later, she made the Futures Tour, which was one notch below the LPGA Tour. A couple years later, she made the LPGA Tour, and she won 2 times on the tour. And she won a tournament that I made the cut in. So it was really cool that I was there for that. That totally changed my whole perspective for coaching, because you can't teach somebody grit. And that girl had the grit. I mean, she slept in her car. She didn't take a dime from her parents. She knew internally that she was going to succeed. Okay. And nobody was going to knock that out of her. So I think grit is number one. The kids, I think, that succeed are very self-motivated. They're ignited. They wake they wake their parents to get up out of bed and take them to practice. I would say they're driven for perfection. They just drive themselves. They're perfectionists. They want to get better all the time. And they're not afraid to miss. Meaning, I think of Caitlin Clark, the great basketball player now. She's not afraid to miss because she knows she's going to make the next shot. And I feel like that's how the great junior golfers are.
I mean, each one of those four pillars, I think we can do an entire podcast on. So, okay, we lingered on grit a little bit, and that certainly seems to, now the science is showing that grit or that perseverance is the number one indicator of success. Is like, can you just stick through a little bit longer than the next person? And that seems to be making all the difference. But like, how do we teach grit? I mean, as parents, we're always trying to, it's interesting right now in this day and age, because you've got the helicopter parents, you've got the bulldozer parents, and if we don't know the difference, I mean, I'm learning these terms, but bulldozer is just trying to like bulldoze every obstacle out of the way so that their child has the easiest kind of route through life, which obviously isn't going to be developing any sort of agency or an ability to actually overcome any obstacles. And then you've got the helicopter parents that's just always there, always just like around. There's no independence there. So we have this desire to kind of protect our children, but yet we understand that grit's the most important thing. So, I mean, is there a way that we can maybe even artificially foster this or encourage it somehow?
It's hard. There's actually a test, the grit test, to see if people instinctively have, I think you can Google it online, if they instinctively have this. I think the growth mindset kind of goes along with it. I think if you can educate and teach kids and parents that it's okay to fail, right? And to understand you're going to learn from the failure. It's going to motivate or help you to make some changes. And it's a long-term mastery game, right? So you can't worry if you make mistakes. I think that's the number one thing. And just help the kids to learn, support the kids to learn from their mistake. I don't think I answered your question too well. My mind's going off in a lot of directions with this grit,
Well, I mean,
because
hey,
I
this is the holy grail right now. So I mean, I don't think there is a right answer, and I think that everybody's still trying to figure that out. But would it be exposing them to adversity, like controlled adversity in tournaments, maybe early?
yeah, I'm thinking the kids have to have some emotional control before they're exposed to tournaments. I'm just thinking of Caitlin Clark real quick again, because I remember this story. She was 5 years old, very young, right? And she was playing with the boys, and she couldn't figure out how to get around this one big boy. Okay. And she cried. So her dad was her coach early on. He benched her and he told her, I will put you back in the game when you're ready. She stopped crying. She went back out in the court and she figured out a way to get around that guy. So there was some assistance from the dad there that helped her calm down and then use her problem solving abilities. And you can't access those when you're upset. And I think a lot of kids get frustrated and upset at golf. It's a hard game. But if they have those tools on how to deal with the failures, I think they get the grit. I think it helps.